Okay, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. We haven't changed clothes because it's the same day, so you'll have probably noticed there's a couple of videos where we look exactly the same.
Well, not exactly the same.
Well, no. Okay.
Check out the makeup one.
Oh yeah, check out that one. It's good. I don't know, I'm still learning how to link stuff, but I will try and put the link below. But yeah, so I'm Gabriella, this is my friend Charlie. I feel like she's going to be on this channel a lot. I feel like it's going to be more of a tag team channel now, which is fine by me.
I'm cool.
So we kind of wanted to just do a little video, basically, kind of a bit rambly, just so that we can kind of broach the subject, put it out there, and then any like questions or comments you have, and that we can hopefully like answer further for you, comment below, and then we can do like another video later where hopefully we can kind of get a little bit more in depth. So yeah, we just want to kind of cover things like invisible illnesses, you know, mental health, things like that. So for me, I really struggle with depression. I have had anxiety, and I get regular B12 injections, and you would be surprised how much a lack of a vitamin can affect you. It's ridiculous. And Charlie, I'll let you speak a little.
Yeah, so I have something called Crohn's disease. Which basically means that my immune system isn't great, and basically it attacks the wrong parts of my body, and that causes inflammations in my intestines, which, as you can imagine, causes lots of different problems. I am one of the lucky people that doesn't have some of the really severe symptoms that other people have, but I still get a lot of horrible symptoms, fatigue being one of the worst.
Horrible.
It's a really difficult thing to deal with, especially as Gabs was saying, it's an invisible illness, so people look at you and they don't think you're ill, they don't think you're unwell, they don't think you're unhealthy, but actually
really
you are,
struggle.
and you're, I mean, sometimes when I'm at work, I mean, I work in London, I do long days, and I have to go and sit on the floor in the toilet and have a nap. It gets that
real
bad.
life, guys.
Yeah, it gets that bad, but you have to kind of, you have to do what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the thing as well, there's not one thing that works for everyone. I think that has to be something that's so important, and it's a big thing, especially in like depression and things as well, where like everyone has something that works for them, and everyone's depression is different levels. Like, looking back at my life, I can tell you that actually I was depressed for a lot longer than I realized. But for me, it got really bad a couple of years ago, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm not okay. Because yeah, I was especially like, and Charlie understands this as well, like someone who avoided feelings a lot and didn't really what us avoid emotion.
What?
No.
Yeah, we do that.
Yeah, a lot. We're getting better.
We are.
We are getting better.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so I basically had like, this was a couple of years ago, so I had a good like 25 years worth of squashed and ignored emotion that just couldn't cope anymore. It was like, what are you doing? Like, we've tried to get you to do something about this and you're not, so now you actually have to face it because it's not good. And it got really bad, and I know it was really hard for everyone around me, like a lot, and I think it's only something I kind of knew it was hard for everyone around me at the time, but it's only now that I'm actually getting proper help and I'm starting to feel more like myself, which is the first time in, I can't actually tell you how long, which is how bad it was, that I felt anywhere near the level to myself, that I can actually appreciate how hard it must have been for everyone around me, because I'm naturally like a really tactile, cuddly, pour all my love at someone, like that's just who I am. And I could not face it when I was depressed. Like, I couldn't stand people touching me. Hugs were empty. Like, they literally, like, it'd be like the motion of a hug, but there would be no energy behind it at all, like nothing. And I tried some stuff on my own to help myself, where like, you know, I try and just do some little bits of self-care, or like journaling has been huge. I really enjoy writing, and I've actually found it really cathartic to write things out. And I got very lucky in that I had a friend who was becoming a life coach, and she was kind enough to spend like every day for like 2 weeks or something with me, and then kind of patter it out a little bit, and that helped me a lot. It helped me turn a big corner, but it still wasn't okay, and I tried a lot to do. The thing is as well, like Charlie knows, I'm not very good at asking for help for myself, and despite me being the first to tell everyone else that it's okay to get help and there is absolutely nothing wrong with it, because I do believe that, I am someone that really struggles with coming across like vulnerable or
weakness.
And it doesn't make you weak, but that's how it made me feel. It made me feel like I wasn't capable, and that there was like I wasn't strong enough to deal with it on my own.
You can't.
Exactly. And it kind of got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore, like I can't. And someone I knew had just been put on tablets, and they'd been kind enough to speak to me about it, and I said, look, have you found that these have helped? And they were like, yeah, like, you've seen me the past couple of months, I'm so different, and I'm back to sort of being happier. And I was like, okay, I feel like this is time that I need to go see the doctor now, like I need to do something. So I finally booked a doctor's appointment. I was really nervous, but I didn't realise how nervous I was about it until I got to the doctor's surgery. And like I was feeling okay about it. I was like, I'm just gonna go talk to them, it'll be fine. And I literally remember I was sat in the waiting room and just cried. And luckily there was no one else in there, but I just could feel, I was trying really hard to control myself. And I also didn't know what doctor I had at the time, but again, I got very lucky, and I'm very grateful that it was someone that I trust as a doctor. And I didn't actually realise they were at this practice because I didn't know where they'd moved to. And so I was relieved when I saw it was them. But yeah, so they've put me on tablets, and they've got like an in-house counsellor. So I've done, I think, 2 or 3 sessions with them so far. And I think that you can tell even with like the difference.
Such a difference,
just from that at the moment. And it makes you want to, because you connect to yourself again, it makes you want to kind of take care of yourself again, where I'd stopped caring. And like I really enjoy things like the gym and exercise and going out and being social, and like I like taking care of myself, but I got to a point where I just didn't care anymore. And I didn't care that I wasn't fueling my body with good things, and I didn't care that I wasn't doing any exercise, and I just think I didn't care, basically. I didn't care about anything. So yeah, it's like I've always said, like, such a big thing is that I don't ever want anyone to feel like alone, or like
I think that's
that other people are like,
or that there's no one that understands. I think that's
that's
sometimes the hardest thing, is that just it's hard to talk to people about something that you're going through when they haven't really been through it themselves, or they don't really understand how you feel, because you know, if you've not been there, if you've not done it, then it is really hard to. You have people that like try and put themselves in your shoes, and they try and
we appreciate that. Like, I want to be so for sure,
and you do appreciate people that are supportive and there for you, but
it's hard
sometimes. And the classic I get, and I don't know if you got this with yours, but the classic I get, and especially when I was first diagnosed, and that was a really difficult time, because you're suddenly told you have this chronic illness that's going to affect you for the rest of your life, and not just in like the normal ways, and that I'm going to be on medication for the rest of my life. I'm always going to have to watch what I eat. I could flare up at like any second, but there's a lot of complications that kind of come with it.
I think it doesn't get talked about a lot as well.
It doesn't, no, and not a lot of people, unless you actually have Crohn's or know someone that has Crohn's. Like nobody really understands. I didn't know a lot about it. Nobody understands how much it affects your body, and actually, it's not just as soon as you say you've got like, you know, an inflammatory bowel disease, they're just like, oh well, you have diarrhea all the time, and you have stomachache all the time.
Or you get irritable bowel.
And it's not the same. And don't get me wrong, IBS is not pleasant either, and that's a horrible thing to have. And again, it's another chronic illness. But having IBD is like, it's not just about, you know, you go to the toilet all the time, because that's what people assume that it is, and it's so much more than that, and it can affect your body in so many different ways. But I think the worst thing is that, obviously, because you have a lot of tests to get yourself diagnosed, and I was going through all these tests, and you know, when I was telling people like, oh, it's Crohn's, and for me that was a massive thing. It was turned my life like completely upside down.
Yeah,
it was
for sure.
But the worst thing I used to get is people go, oh, it's not that bad.
Oh.
And you're just like, oh well, at least it's not like life-threatening, or at least it's not this, at least it's not that,
or people get it worse, or people have worse things going on in their life.
It could be worse, and it's like, it could be worse, but it could be a whole lot better. And actually, that was really difficult for me to get across to people, because then I felt almost like my feelings of it being really big. Yeah, because I was like, well, why am I feeling like this? Why am I feeling
I think there's a really big thing as well, like in society, where like people just, instead of like acknowledging feelings and emotions, they go, well, someone else has got it worse. And okay, people do have it worse. It's different levels, and different things affect different people in different ways. End of story. Like, you can have 2 people with Crohn's and they will be affected completely differently. Like, and the same, depression, everything. But it's so, people seem to be like, oh, there's worse stuff, and it's like, okay, well, there is, but that doesn't mean that my feelings aren't valid. And you have to acknowledge your own feelings. You have to accept that and work through it.
And I think, like you say, although there are people that have it worse, and that I know there are people like, as I said at the beginning of the video, I am one of the lucky ones in that, you know, there are some people that struggle to just get up during the day, and they can't go out because they do have these problems, and it is debilitating. And there's people that, you know, have to have bags, and they have to, you know, and I'm lucky in that I don't have that. But at the same time, that doesn't make my illness and the way I have to deal with things and what I have to deal with, that doesn't make it any easier for me to deal with, because everyone has it at different levels. And actually there's like a charity and they have a forum, Crohn's and Colitis UK have a forum on Facebook, and if you have Crohn's or colitis, I really recommend you going on that forum, because everyone on there is really supportive.
That's
and
nice.
It is nice because there's people that, you know, you can ask questions. And I think, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know if it's a Crohn's thing or if I'm actually ill in a different way, and you can go on there and you can see, and you can just talk to people that have the same thing, and even if theirs is worse or better, or nobody really cares, all they care is that you have Crohn's and that you have to deal with that. They don't, you know, like, you know, as I say, like, fatigue is a massive thing for me. My joints are terrible. I really struggle with that. There's a lot of, and just the pain, to be honest, like when you have a flare up, like the pain is unreal. Like it's one of the most painful things I've ever felt, is to have like a flare up like that. So it is hard.
And the thing, I don't know if you probably have found it, but what I find really difficult is, like, don't get me wrong, mine's not the same level as Charli, but like where my B12 is, anyone who's got B12 issues will know actually how much it affects you. And fatigue is one of them. And I think the thing that frustrates me is people go, oh yeah, I'm tired too. And it's like, no, fatigue and tired,
fatigue and tiredness is a different thing.
Different ends of the spectrum. Like, they're not like, even in the same area.
And I think people just like, they're like, oh yeah, I didn't sleep very well last night.
Like, no.
Oh, I did. You know, I got. It's like, no, it's a whole. It's like
different ballgame. Like, it's
not a bone deep.
I can't think straight. There's like fog and
like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm tired. And it doesn't
matter as well. You could have slept for like 24 hours, and you will still feel
like, I've literally, like, sometimes I'm sat there and I'm sat in I've done it in meetings before. I'm sat in a meeting and I cannot keep my eyes open, and it's not a boring meeting, it's nothing like that. It's not that I've gone out the night before, it's not that I'm hungover, it's just it just hits me. And I'm just sat there,
and just come over, like, doesn't it, all of a sudden?
Oh my god,
like,
I can't. And it's hard, and it's hard just to like live and not like. It's hard because people just don't
understand it.
But I think maybe it's partly my fault in that I don't talk about it that much, because again, it's like you were saying, it's like a weakness thing, and I don't want people to be like, oh, poor you, you're ill.
No, and that's...
oh, poor... And I don't want to make a big thing about it, because I don't want it to define my life.
No, you don't want it to define who you are, but equally you need to accept it's like a part of who you are. Because that's one of the biggest things I found about actually admitting out loud to people in front of me that I had depression. Like, that was something that it took me a really long time to admit to myself, let alone anyone in front of me.
And I think you tend to brush it off, like I do.
Like, you're like, I'm just having a bad day, or...
and they're like, oh, like, because there'll be something like, maybe they'll offer me something and I'm like, oh no, I can't eat that, because there's certain things I can't eat. And I'll be like, no, I can't eat that. And they'll be like, oh, why? And I'll be like, oh, I have Crohn's, but it's fine. It's, you know, it's not,
anyway,
it's not a big thing, blah, 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 like, move on. I don't talk about it that much.
And this is the other thing as well, because I think, and I understand, like, because you don't always always want to sit and explain everything to everyone as well, like but I think this is why I think platforms like this and that are so important, because it means you can talk about it, and then people who need to find the information or want to learn more about it or don't know anything about it, then there's something out there for people to start learning about things and like actually understand compassionately someone else.
Yeah, definitely. And especially if you're like newly diagnosed in something, it is sometimes hard to think is this normal? Is what I'm feeling normal? Not just like physically, but like emotionally as well. Like I was saying, when I was first diagnosed, like it took me so long to get my head around it, because it is such a life-changing thing. It doesn't matter what you're diagnosed with, whether it's Crohn's or depression or something else.
It still changes.
It's still
the way
a massive
you have to.
thing, and it's still something you have to deal with, and you have to get your head around. And then you end up, you know, you're reading all this information and all of these leaflets, and you're going, oh my god, like, like this literally changes my whole life. And I've got to, you know, constantly be aware of it. It's never something like you never forget.
No, it's always like that back part. Like and the one thing I found really interesting for me as well, like, was it like with my B12, for example, like I can get on with things and feel like, oh, I'm okay, and then literally for me it's normally at least 2 weeks before my injection's due, I start getting really fatigued and I start feeling weird, and at first I'm just like, oh, I must just have not slept well, I must just be really tired, or da da da, and then you're like, oh, actually no, it's a symptom, and it reminds you that actually it's always still there, even if you're feeling like okay.
I get it. So like if there's been a week where I've been particularly busy, like I've gone out a lot of evenings, and I get to the weekend and I'm like, wow, I'm done, and I just think, well, why? Like,
what have I done?
What have I done? And I just think, oh, actually,
it's been quite a lot for your body and everything.
And for anyone else, it's like a normal week. It's just like, you know, people go out, people do things during the week. It's fine, but for me, I realise, and I'm like, wow, I've done too much. And you do, and you try, and I think the hardest thing for me, and I think you're the same, is that you don't want it to hold you back. And you're like, no, I can do this. I'm not going to let it stop me.
It's learning the balance of like,
and I think
caring for yourself.
I think sometimes you just have to turn around and go, I can't do it. And it's hard. It's hard when you have to cancel on people, and you have to, you know,
feel really
you said you're going to go
or,
somewhere, and you just don't. Sometimes it's just you're just not in the mood, and I think sometimes that is because you're just too tired. You're just you've had a long week, and you have to cancel on plans, and you're just like, I really don't want to, or you feel like, especially like when you're young and you know, you're like, I want to be going out.
Or you feel
I don't want to be staying at home on a Friday night. I want to be going out, and then you just think, I can't. And I think that's been one of the hardest things for me, is that actually I can't do all of these things, and I can't. And
it's learning.
It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not do all of these things.
This is it. It's learning your own boundaries and learning that sometimes you need to refill your tank, and that's okay. Like, I remember for me as well, like I always used to watch my nan, because she had MS and ME, and again like chronic fatigue and everything else, and you'd see her not wanting to miss out on family things, so she'd push herself to do it, and she'd pay for that for like a week.
That is a thing that, like, you know, you push yourself too hard, and then you end up missing out on more because you pushed yourself too much hard the week before.
And I think that's the thing to remember. It's like, okay, so I could go and do this right now, and then I can lose like a whole week. Or I could rest right now and do what my body needs me to do, and then I can carry on actually doing things the rest of the week. I think that's a really hard thing to like get the grip of, because you're so often like, I want to seize life and I don't want to miss things and I want to see people. Then sometimes you've just got to remember, actually I just need to rest, and I need to, and it's not selfish, and I'm not being moany or like just going, oh, I'm tired. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm not, I've got, it's so I have a reason. I'm not just being like,
it's like, it's dramatic. Okay, like when you spend a day not doing something, not doing anything. Like it's this weekend hasn't been a particularly busy weekend for me, but I kind of think, well, actually, like that's clearly what I need. Like I needed a weekend where I wasn't really doing anything and going to bed at 8 o'clock at night and just chilling. Like that's what I needed, so that's what I did. And it's okay to it's okay to not to. It's not wasting your time.
No, this is the big thing. And
not wasting your time.
Yeah, it's not wasting your time. You're actually healing yourself. And it's a good way to spend your time. And I think in this day and age, especially with social media, blessing and a curse, you know, a lot of you know how I feel about this.
Wait, are we?
There we are. a lot of you know, like, my feelings, it's a blessing and a curse. Like, I do think there are so many good points of social media. Things like this is one of them. But then there's the points where you sit at home and you're not doing good, and you see people going out, living life, doing things, and you feel like you're wasting time because someone else is doing this.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay,
I should be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, actually, I just need to go to bed right now.
Yeah.
Or I need to just have this moment to myself. Or I need to sit and write and not go out and talk to people, or whatever it is for you that works for you to feel better.
Yeah.
That's just as important
Yeah,
as everything else.
and don't, and I always find it's something that I find quite a lot, is like, you don't want to be that person. You don't want to be that person that's like, I can't eat that. Or,
yeah, this is the thing I've really struggled with.
And it, like, oh no, actually I can't, you know, just be honest with people and be like, no, that's going to make me feel like shit. That's going to make me ill. I am not going to do that. That's the thing, I think, and that it was really hard for me, because you want to, like you say, like, when I first diagnosed, I didn't drink because I was in a flare and I couldn't face alcohol, and that is hard when you're going out with your friends and everyone's drinking and you're like, oh, I really want to drink, and then everyone's going, oh, you can have one,
you'll be alright,
just have one, you'll be fine.
And it's like, no,
and you're like, I actually won't be fine.
No, I won't. I'm
not actually gonna be okay.
Yeah.
And you know, again, I'm one of those lucky ones that, you know, I've managed to get out there. There are still certain things that I can't drink, but you know, I can still go out and drink now. But then again, there's still those times where I'm like, actually, this is the time I'm like, actually, this is gonna, you know, this is gonna cause me problems. I'm not gonna drink, and you just have to kind of be brave enough to be like, I'm that person. You know, I'm not gonna drink, and you might all laugh at me, and
good for you. Like, at the end of the day, I think if you've got people like that around you, you don't need them.
No, you need someone.
Well.
You need people
like,
that are gonna support you
and understand,
and at least try and understand. I think that's
try. At least
you know,
if you try.
People. Not everyone is going to understand because people just don't. Because if people don't have the kind of illness you have, or if they don't have depression, like, or they don't know anyone that's had it, then they aren't going to understand. But that's okay as long as they're trying.
Yeah, for sure.
And as long as they're open to you talking about it. I think that's
without you feeling like you're being a downer or something, like letting you be sad,
and help them understand. I think that's one thing that I, you know, because like I say, I don't really talk about it that much, and like it's easy because I'm like, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person that's ill. You know, I don't want people's sympathy as much.
Well, you feel like you haven't got as far as you want to be.
But I think the best thing to do is actually tell people exactly how you feel, or tell people how the illness affects you. Just be honest. Which can be
one of the hardest things, but honestly, like, it brings out the best people, because like, when I was in the midst of my really bad one, I got very lucky, and a very good friend of mine, she would literally, like, I would be no company for anyone, but she would literally just come over and paint my nails. Or just, I wouldn't have to speak, she would just sit with me. And those things make the biggest difference.
And sometimes it isn't like, you don't necessarily need like a big chat or a big, you just, sometimes it's just nice to have someone there, just to feel normal for a little while. Like, definitely, sometimes you just need that. You just need someone that's going to come along with you, and just chill and just be like, this, it's okay, it doesn't matter, it's cool. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to feel shit, and it's okay to be ill, and it's okay not to feel 100%. It's fine. It's okay. Whatever you feel, it's okay.
And this is it. It's okay. Basically, it's a great. That's it. Okay. Like, it's okay. Because one of my favorite things as well is that I can't remember the exact phrasing, but it's like, happiness is an emotion, not a destination. That's right, isn't it? It's a feeling, not a destination. And it's basically like, I think that's the thing, there's so much placed on being happy, and it's like, we feel so much in a day. Like, being happy isn't the be all and end all. Actually, it's more empowering to start acknowledging your feelings and owning it and going, okay, I don't feel 100%, but then you feel it and you can move through it.
Like, today I'm not feeling happy. That's okay. It's okay to, during the day, to have some time where you don't feel happy. But it's more, like you say, it's more important to, like you say, acknowledge it and deal with it, rather than just be like, I'm just going to pretend everything's okay.
Everything's cool.
And it's going to be fine, and I'll get over it. Like, it's okay to just admit that you're not okay, and that you, maybe, I don't know, there's such a range of help that people need. Like, sometimes it is just, you just need a conversation with someone. Sometimes that's all it takes, and you just turn around to someone and you go, oh,
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh, that sucks, like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And you just have that chat, and actually it just lifts everything off your chest.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need more than that. Sometimes you do need professional help, and you do need
and that's okay. Like,
that's fine.
there is nothing wrong with professional help.
No, and I think it doesn't make you, I think there's like a bit of a taboo around it.
There's still stigma and taboos around it.
There is, like, and it doesn't make you like a crazy, and it doesn't make you like a mental person.
No.
Like, it's fine. But everyone has mental issues to a degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Everyone's
has
those
got baggage.
issues. You can't even like these people that they're like, oh my god, they look so happy all the time. They will have issues and they will go through stuff, but maybe they've learned to deal with it. Maybe they know how to acknowledge things, but it's okay to not know how to deal with things as long as you venture out and try and get the help that you need.
Yeah, exactly.
It might just be a friend, it might be a professional. Either way, it's, you know, it's okay to not be able to deal with things. I think that's what a lot of people think, and I know it's definitely something I did.
And honestly, I think there is such a strength and a beauty and vulnerability that we don't acknowledge and that we don't give credit for. But like, the more I witness it in other people, the more it makes me want to be that, because that's what inspires me. That's what brings out the best of me, and that's what's helped me through a lot of my stuff, is watching other people be honest and voice what they've gone through or how they feel. Because then you do feel less alone, and you do think, oh, okay, like, it's not just me.
I think that's and that is the most important thing when you start talking to people. Either, you know, sometimes it's just someone you wouldn't expect. You're like, oh my god, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or if you can get onto forums, and even if you're not doing the talking, even if you're just reading what other people say,
definitely,
and looking at other people's blogs, and then you just think, oh my god, like,
I'm
normal.
It like resonates.
It's normal for me to feel this way, and I think that for me has made a big difference. Is actually being able to having access to people that are the same.
Definitely,
there are so many forums and charities and loads of stuff that people do that you can just go and just talk to people that have been through the same or similar things to you, and then you just go, oh yeah, I get that, or I feel like that, or why. And it's so nice to be like, I'm not on my own. I'm not the only person.
Because it's so easy with any kind of illness or anything to feel like isolated, and
and that you're the only one, and that you're like, oh, I feel like that's not right.
Really alone. But you're not. You're 100% not alone.
Never.
Like
there's always going to be someone that's had something similar,
and it's often people you don't expect as well. Like, a lot of people I speak to wouldn't ever say that they thought I struggled at all. But
well, people forget that I'm ill.
Because you just like battle on as well. I think that's the thing as well. You get into like a zone where you're just trying to go through the day,
and sometimes it is. And although, you know, we say, you know, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay, but at the same time, it's still okay if the way you deal with it is to be strong. Then that's the way you deal with it. Just as long as you are venting it. And
as long as you're not pretending completely that.
As long as you're not just be like bottling everything up and you know. But sometimes that is what you need to do in that.
I think sometimes you go
I can't deal with people's sympathy. I can't deal with their pity. I just need to focus on I just need to get through the day, and sometimes that's what you need to do.
But, and I think at the end of the day you can then unpack that later. You know what I mean? I think as long as you're remembering to unpack and not just keep filling,
and don't just bottling it all up.
Exactly, because it's one of the easiest things to do when you get the hang of it. But I think it's so important to remember to unpack and kind of actually sort through things and clear
it's okay just to, like, sometimes at the end of the day, if you want to sit there and have a little cry, just fucking do it.
Absolutely. Like, man or woman as well. I want to be so clear about this because men
applies to everyone.
There's still too much of a stigma around men and mental health and suffering, and it is like the bravest thing for men to feel and see and own emotion. I think is incredible, and something that needs to be spoken about more and needs to be done more and encouraged, because men feel you do, and
they
that's
don't, and
fine.
And I think what other people don't, what people don't always realise is that, I don't mean this in a sexist way at all, but men feel differently to women. They do. It's just what it is. Not all men and not women. That isn't a massive generalisation, but a lot of men don't think in the same way as women, and
there's plenty of stuff about
they need to deal with things in different ways, and that's fine, but as long as they're dealing with it. But that applies to everyone. As long as you're dealing with it, it doesn't matter how you deal with it, it doesn't matter what you need to do, as long as
it's healthy as well. I do want to clear that up as well. Like, we don't mean like if you find any trigger warnings here, I don't mean to, but like, we waffle a lot. Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, cut again. But yeah, trigger warnings. Like, you know, I'm saying as long as you're not going like, oh, I'm just gonna drink 3 bottles. You know, and that helps.
I need to. No, that's not dealing with it. That's blocking out.
That's another sense of avoidance.
And
food.
Drugs and food.
Food's a big one for me, and that's something I'm aware of.
You're not dealing with it.
No,
you're using something else to block it and pretend it's not there.
For sure.
It is, when we say deal with it in the way you need to deal with it, that means actually dealing with it.
Yeah, like
not
full on self-care, like
doing things that are covering it up.
Yeah, so if that's talking, if that's medication from the doctor, if that's meditation, mindfulness, we need to be doing more of that. But yeah, all these kind of things.
I'm not very good at meditating,
but yeah,
it's about the trying, and it is about
learning your
yourself.
own coping mechanisms, learning what works for you, because everything's different and not everything will work.
Like, I'm someone that needs to deal with things generally on my own. It's how I've always been, and I tend to find if I've had a difficult day, whatever's happened in that day, if it's been difficult, I'll be strong until I get home and I'm on my own, and then I break down. But that's, at least I have that breakdown.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing, is that I'm letting it go and I'm feeling what I need to feel. Yeah, and then feeling better afterwards. Yeah, that's the most important.
See, that's something that I deal with differently, and I internalize a lot. But what I'm learning is writing or doing things like this actually really help me work through things. Yeah. You know, seeing counsellors, things like that are good for me. But yeah, at least there's different ways of doing things. Yeah, there is different ways, but you know, although I will have, you know, I have my breakdowns that are on my own, at the same time, like say, doing things like this and actually voicing things, you end up admitting things that you never really realised that you felt. And you're admitting things that actually you never felt you could admit. To be honest, if you had said to me, you know, a few months ago that I would be sat in front of a camera talking about Crohn's, like, I would have been like, I knew she wouldn't have been doing that.
I don't talk about it. It's not something you know. No. But actually talking about it and admitting it to people makes all the difference. It really does. And I think it's the same with the depression. Like, actually and I really appreciate how hard it is to admit. It's so
not easy.
It's like any out loud to other people to say, I am this, I am depressed, or I have this illness,
and you'll probably find like the good first few times, like for me the first like 5-6 people, I got emotional every time they came out.
I get really nervous.
Yeah,
I used to get really nervous.
You did.
I mean, I still do it now, and I noticed at the beginning of the video.
Yeah, I did.
I was a bit like,
relaxed.
Oh my god. I do get really nervous about it, because you don't always know people's reaction. No. And also, it's such a complicated thing to try and explain. You can't explain it in a few minutes.
No. It's not on the back of a postcard.
No, it's not something, you know, and people do have assumptions about anything that you have. People are always going to have that instant assumption or that instant judgment.
And people have questions you can't always answer in that moment. Yeah. Like, sometimes they take time to think about or actually like connect with, and you're like, oh, actually, how do I feel about that? Like,
and also like with depression, I think probably, and I know it's, I don't know if you've ever got this question, but I know people are like, well, why are you depressed? What reason do you have to be depressed?
Your life's great, or you've got people that love you, and you're like,
but that's not what it's about.
You could be like the richest person in the world, financially, mentally. You could have 1,000 people around you. You could have the best family that love you to pieces. It's not about that.
No, it is. It's about your own.
Yeah, it's your own thoughts, your own self-worth a lot of the time, but also it's a chemical imbalance. There's something else behind it. It's not just that. And a lot of the time, again, as well, you'll often find, not always, I don't know a lot about other people's, but a lot of the time you'll find it's stuff from the past that has been buried and then comes up.
And you don't even realise what it is sometimes. No. Sometimes you're just like, oh.
Yeah, you feel it and you're like, where did this come from? Yeah. And then, so it's not always just that.
It's not as, I don't think it's as
black and white.
Black and white, yeah. Nothing ever is, and I think a lot of things, like any illness or depression or any mental illness, it's not as black and white as being like, this upset me, so I'm depressed.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not as black and white as that, and actually it's
like they said this and it upset me.
Yeah,
not like
yeah. And I think people, I think people have a perception of mental illness that's so wrong.
Yeah, and it's still,
So
I mean, there's been a lot of progress for sure, but there's still a lot of stigma around it.
Definitely, and there's also like the same thing, and there might be people that are watching this that have done this, and it's something that I really urge you not to do, is if you see someone using a disabled toilet and they don't look disabled,
yes, this is
do
so
not
important.
judge them,
no,
because you don't know what that person has.
Invisible illnesses are invisible.
Exactly.
Like,
and I know a lot. Through obviously having, you know, Crohn's, and I don't have a bag, I don't have an ileostomy or anything like that, so I'm lucky in that I don't have to do that. But I know like a lot of people that do have to do that, and you cannot change a bag in a small toilet. You physically can't. I don't know if you've ever, if you can, there are loads of videos out there that people have done of them changing their bag, and you can see actually how difficult it is. You can't do it in a normal toilet stall. They have to use a disabled toilet. There's also the other issue is that there's some people that cannot physically wait for a toilet. They have to use the disabled one because they cannot wait in the queue.
No.
Literally cannot, like, I can't stress enough that just because someone walks out of a disabled toilet,
just because they don't have a crutch,
does not mean they're not disabled. And it doesn't even apply to Crohn's. There are some
this
people,
is so many different illnesses.
Yeah, there are some people that they may not look physically, but they can't sit down on a normal toilet. They need things to help them on the toilet, or they need to do certain things when they go to the toilet. Like, I just... you know,
we're running out of space.
We're running out of space. We need to make this. But that is something I would really urge, is that don't judge people for using a disabled toilet just because